Hello, Jared, and welcome back to Smack Talk.
Hey, Austin, welcome back to Smack Talk.
It's been a while, buddy.
An actual welcome back. Maybe that is the intro because that's the joke is that we keep having to take breaks.
Yeah.
I'm not against it.
Consistency is for the birds.
Never stop blowing up episode 4. 4, right?
It's 4.
Yeah, 4. Wow, we're already almost halfway through.
Is it only 8? I thought it was 10.
It's 10. Almost halfway through.
That's a weird way to say it.
What do you mean? Because it's Tuesday. It's almost Wednesday.
Yeah.
All right, bitch. What is this? What is this?
You should tell the people why it's been a while. Where were you?
I had to go to New York. I saw some places. I went to some people. And I don't know. It was okay. New York's all right. It's just a lot of hustle and bustle, and there's too many people on the fucking train to Jersey. It's too exhausting.
You saw
But,
5 musicals?
Yeah, 5 musicals. See Hadestown if you haven't seen it. This is not at all relevant, but you have to see Hadestown with Jordan Fisher and Maya Rafiko. You have to see them. They have beautiful chemistry. I'm in love. I can't stop listening to it. You got to stop me talking about a musical on the Never Stop Blowing Up video.
No, it's good. You have to say where you were. Well,
yeah, this is doing numbers for our retention.
It's good to have you back. In the meantime, my fiance met my mom for the first time after 3 years. 3 years I've been with her. Never met my mom.
Yeah.
I'll just leave the people.
I want to meet your mom.
Yeah, you haven't met her either. After 5-6 years of friendship. My mom has a fortune teller that told her my fiance and I wouldn't be together for 3 years. So she was like, what's the point? You're going to break up in 3 years. But since we beat that...
How long has she known the fortune teller for?
Oh, like over a decade.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. But anyway, since we beat the fortune teller's curse, she was willing to meet her. And it went well. Anyway, so this is the first time we've watched this episode at different times. I watched it 2 days, maybe even 3 days ago now.
Yeah.
You watched it just a bit ago. So I was looking at my notes, and I don't fully 100% remember them. So hopefully you can fill in some of the gaps.
This will be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Disjointed is the name of the game, but we'll figure it out as we go.
Perfect. Well, let's start with our top 3 favorite moments. You want to predict mine?
Guess mine first.
Okay, I'll predict yours first. Okay, I think that you liked the little presents exchange between Kingskin and Simon Steele. Kingskin's like borrowing the car, and he's like, I'll leave a little something in there for you. And then everyone around the table's like, ugh, what's it going to be? Poop? Cum?
I'm a simple man. What can I say?
Reka says poop, and you laugh and subscribe.
Reka says anything, and I subscribe.
Second guess, I think you like the... I wrote Lungala Beach. I know that's not it. I don't remember what beach it was.
You're also probably dyslexic, undiagnosed.
What is the beach name?
I think they say it's like Lunala or something.
No, it's Laguna. It's Laguna Beach. It's Laguna Beach.
Laguna.
Yeah, I wrote Lungala. I think you liked. I think you liked when Brendan was like, "Send 500 people to." I already forgot the name of it again.
Laguna Beach. Everyone gets a Dana point.
Yeah. I think you like that. See, you remember the jokes. That was probably yours. And then I think you liked when Barsimian punches his wound closed.
Interesting.
All right.
Okay, those are some pretty good ones. You know, I think you're honing in pretty well, but not precisely. I did like, in the vein of the Laguna Beach thing, that moment was fine for me, but I think some of the pacing of the early episode stuff was catching up to me, and I was slowing down a bit, and that was nice, but I wasn't laugh ready yet. But I did love a lot of Izzy's little isms in this episode.
Izzy's isms.
Yeah, isms. No, you can't do it. Isms?
Or if you wanted to combine them. I think it's fun to say is-it-isms.
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 Is-isms. Yeah, you're right. Okay, I got them. I love the little isms here, where uh, the first one that really made me laugh was the helicopter shoots the other helicopter for unexplained and like irrelevant reasons, and she just goes, "It's the Avengers," and I was like, "It's just such a weird reference to make," and she's having so much fun in this episode that
Yes.
like it makes me have fun too. And there's also one I'm counting this as the same thing because it's also an ism. They're getting the names wrong and she in all her hypocriticalness just goes fucking idiot. That made me laugh. I really like that. My one that actually is chronologically before that, I just loved the first bit of "It's over between us, Kingskin."
Yeah. I
Something
had
about
that.
the
Oh,
music
I put down
is
honorary Jared's the rule of 3 for it's over between us. But I
I don't
didn't.
even know if it was the rule of three for me. For me, it was like the first one, the first Liana Diesel, whatever.
Yeah.
Like the music that's playing, and it's one of those times where he just does like an exposition dump for a character. Like, here's everything that happened with me and you in the past. Like it hits on the beats of the music in a way that was like, oh, this is so good. We're playing the game now. We're in it. I just really love that moment. My third one is this is kind of a reach, but it's just the fact that Allie was talking Brennan down from having to do something at the end. Allie goes like, "Brennan, you do not have to do this," and it's you don't understand the meta framework of that. Allie is the one who is frequently going like, "Oh, I want to do this crazy bananas thing," and for them to be telling Brennan like, "No, no, no, it's okay. Don't worry. You don't have to do this one." Is like, "Oh, we've gone too far. Like science has made a monster that even Allie Beardsley is willing to kill." And it's just like, this is absolutely insane. So that was just like, it's a small moment, but it's the irony of it, and so many years of Allie doing, I can't wait for you to watch Junior Year because there are moments in that are like just insane.
I was very conflicted when I was making my favorites and least favorites of like when Brendan's like, I'm going to yes and anything, and some of that I really liked the embracing the challenge, and some of it I didn't. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I get what you're
This is an
going
interesting
for.
episode for that.
Hmm.
Okay, so
Pretty
you were
good.
close, not that exactly that,
Yeah.
right? I'll guess yours. I'm pretty confident about this one. Pretty confident. Everything that Jacob was thinking in this episode in terms of how to win the race.
Hmm.
Uh, Going to the airport, first of all, is like, okay, I was down for that. I like that idea in the first place. That's playing this game correctly. Like I'm
Right.
gonna have a creative solution that's relevant to my character. And then he even spins it even more into his character of like, oh, I have a plane hidden there with some stuff and we're gonna go to fucking space. And it's like, that is so good James Bond nonsense. Like, I thought that was conceptually uh, within the themes and just like quick witted.
Yeah.
Uh, I think you liked that because I liked it. Not enough to put on my top three, but it was good. And then my other ones were I did just straight up put Brennan saying I'll yes and anything. I think we're gonna get into this a little bit in the mechanic section that we do, but I think that you respect that the most, and you think that that is what D&D should be always for you at least, and that you like that statement because this whole thing feels like your vibe, and I'll get into why later. Sometimes I appreciate the hard work of saying no, uh, but I think that him saying that was good for this series, especially, but hit with you. My third one is that I think you just like that Jaquan was real. It's just the real Jaquan.
Yeah.
Like he's stuck in here too. He just is there. And he's like, oh no, I'm the real Jaquan. I'm stuck. He's just he's playing like the logic of it is too good. He's stuck playing himself because he's a cameo in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like
By
it's too
extension,
good world
is
building.
Bad Bunny in your guess as well?
I think so. The whole thing with
Mhm.
the celebrity thing, I couldn't. I wanted to say both of them were a moment, but I do think that the Jaquan and Bad Bunny thing is more like a joke, and this is more of a world building thing of it. That is the actual Jaquan. So if you are putting the Bad Bunny on there, I will take that loss.
Sure, sure. Okay. Super good. So in one way, you're 100% correct on everything you said. but in an entirely more accurate way, you're 100% wrong.
No, not again. The rebellion starts today.
But in a one way, you are completely right. All these things will be brought up. All these things are written down in my notes, but they're in different categories.
Oh no, it's all the negatives. That'd be insane.
My favorite moment was the titanium mailbox. I liked imagining that someone was just hovering outside their front door, peeping through the peephole, just waiting for someone to crash into their mailbox so that they could bust through the door with a big machine gun and just start firing.
That's really good. You know that guy gets like talked about at Thanksgiving too, but he was right. He was right. Somebody did come for the mailbox.
Hit him, yeah, and it was strong enough to withstand it. I love the whole thing. I love that split the car in half. I love that Jaquan was just sent. I'll bring up the Jaquan Ex Machina later, but Jaquan becoming an Ex Machina. Just, oh man, I daydreamed about the titanium mailbox a lot after the episode was over.
Okay.
Second favorite, I liked the dialogue that was happening at the table around what at one point Rika called the impossible riddle of what's more plausible, the oily shirt or the chain connecting the tank to the car. What could it possibly be that's keeping my car from going fast? It was just very ticklish to me to hear it phrased as the impossible riddle of like, man. And then when Alex contributed that, I forgot what the exact thing said before what Alex said, but Alex was like, I guess if we do that, we'll never know which one it was. And I was like, it's so good. I just really liked the dialogue around the table around that. Okay, and then I'm going to surprise you with a new mechanic for this podcast because...
oh my God, you're always changing the rules on me.
Rules are meant to be broken. But I imagine on episode 10, we'll want to do... or maybe there's like an episode 11 and we look back and we do our top 3 favorite moments of the whole thing, right? Okay, so I'm putting the gold heart. I wish I could do special effects. I would glimmer the gold heart for this because this is so far the favorite moment of the campaign so far. But it has to be...
oh my God, really?
Has to be Agent Stocks going into space, and then it becomes like really cinematic, and he looks at the window and he goes, "I'm sorry, they don't believe Rashab." And then
I know.
Oh, it's just so cinematic. It was so beautiful.
So I'm correct about that one. That's encapsulated within my thing. I do mean that.
You said Jacob's like thoughts, like how to win the race, and that's like.
But no, that was the whole premise behind me asking what the thing was, because the idea and the execution is amazing, including the fucking ending.
The hand on the window. I'm sorry, they don't believe. Oh, it's just so.
Yeah.
It's so good. Finding an excuse to get into space. Because he is somewhat connected to Rashad, but also makes perfect sense to win the race. Just everything about it. You're right. Like that one probably is a nail in the head. You're right. Jacob's whole thought process as a player is
he's setting himself up for moments in which are necessary for his character.
Yeah.
Like so he's putting his character in positions that, like, if you were to write this as a movie, that should be there.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's what's impressive.
The Golden Heart for me specifically is what they animated, but ultimately you're correct. Just the whole everything Jacob did this episode.
Yeah, I'll get some into that with functions a little bit. Cool. Okay, you want to do least favorites?
Yeah, I'll predict yours. Okay, so I think that you super disliked the Jaquan Ex Machina that I was just talking about. The fact that I think it was Izzy had to make like a certain role, but they didn't quite get it, and then they did get it, but then Iffy was like, well, not to be a hater, but you're in a situation where that doesn't work, and then Brendan gives Izzy out anyway, and Jaquan like gives her 2 more tokens. I think probably 2 not honoring the game moment.
Interesting.
Right? Number 2, I don't think that you like that the tank being connected to the Moonrider was resolved pretty easily by Iffy just pressing a button. I think it was kind of anticlimactic. And then I think for number 3, it was just kind of a slow start in the beginning. I put just slow vibes. The first 30 minutes, people just weren't quite meshing. Multiple times, Izzy's just kind of like wrapping up what Brendan's saying because like Izzy already knows that they didn't like succeed. And like Allie's being disruptive. Like they just weren't quite locked in the first 30 minutes.
Yeah. Which is interesting. There's a big talk right now about how they said in one of the adventuring parties that they're not doing back-to-back episodes anymore, that they're just doing like one episode a day
Mhm.
for these. And people are saying that that really helps the energy. Personally, I've never had a problem with the energy. You know, all justice to them for doing things that are like more doable for them and whatever, not overworking themselves. But I've never seen an issue with the energy, even at like long stints of recording. You can tell when they've done like 4 episodes. But this was like specifically not a long stint of recording, and there was an energy deficit,
Yeah.
I think, at the beginning. So I do agree with you on that. It didn't make my bottom three, but you were sort of right on one of them. I do just have a broad one for Izzy being random because I think Izzy's having a lot of fun and it adds so much to the episode, but it also like at some points is just for her. Like it is just like she's having so much fun by herself, and it's like okay, Izzy, hold on. It was like a combination of yes, the Jaquan like, oh, we're gonna help you, just do these two, you know, tokens or whatever, like none of this shit matters. And then also like the I'm gonna do a stealth check to try to get the bottle, and then immediately when I fail, I'm gonna take another action and whip him with my gun and shoot him and kiss him. And it's like okay, Jesus, which is fine.
Yeah.
It's all funny,
Yeah.
but it does start to make me feel like whatever's happening in the scene doesn't actually matter or have real stakes. It's just going to shake out like it's going to shake out in whatever like dramatic flavory way, depending on who like heavily succeeds or heavily fails, but it's always going to end the same.
Yeah.
uh, and I think that takes away a little bit of the agency. My other two negative ones were, one of them I just wrote straight up. There was a moment where Brennan, he may have forgot. This is like all fairness to him, he may have forgot, but he asks Alex for a wits roll to find out information on the road before Alex even gets into a car, before Kingston gets into a car, and they get a 1, and it's like bad roll. And I don't think you forget that, because like 30 seconds later, Brennan asks for another wits roll, like the same wits roll, it feels, just to make it a second time and to get better. And that just felt a little gamey to me. Like, no, let's play with that one. It's sort of the
I didn't notice that
negative effect, I
though.
think. Yeah,
I'll give him the
that
benefit of
really
the
stuck
doubt.
out to me.
Okay.
There was definitely no immediate like description of why that one like had an effect or did anything. And I think it's part of, I'll get into this in the functions maybe a little bit. I didn't actually think of this until right now. But like when moving from a D20 to a D4, you critical fail, quote unquote, a lot more. And so therefore the ones don't actually have the weight that they do on a D20, like when critical failures happen in regular D&D. And so I think that takes away a little bit of the dramatic tension, you know, of
Mhm.
rolling a low number. It's nice to get 4s, but it should also be nice, quote unquote, to get 1s.
I not
Uh,
to get too much into mechanics, but I was interpreting critical failures as failing at more than 5. Like a 1 wasn't
yeah, I guess that's
a
true.
critical failure.
Yeah, no, I'll go ahead and say that I'm wrong about that. They do have a function for that, and 1s is fine, but the difficulties not being high enough, like I mentioned last time, kind of makes it so that those critical failures still don't really come about.
Yeah, sure.
Um, whereas like with any other D20 based system, you can get it 1 out of or whatever 5% of times you critical fail. Um, and then my third one is just everything with the sun or the night. The moon is the night
No,
sun. I was
no,
like, oh
no.
geez,
The Night Sun's so
oh my
good.
gosh,
It's so
it's
funny.
it's just so much, and it was like it was fully explained already within the first like 30 seconds. We got the joke out of it, and it was like cool, yeah, it's silly. The idea is there. Like I don't care that it functionally it has an influence on it. I think it's great or whatever in terms of like I'm rolling with Usha being absolutely fucking insane with tech at this point, you know, episode 4 episodes in. That's just like we are not playing that first character anymore. We're playing what Reika is playing G13, you know.
But it's
We're
but
not
it's
playing Usha.
perfect because they're still bad, but they stumble into greatness. That's
Yeah, but the execution is totally like it's not grabbing for anything necessarily, like you were saying before with like the Scrabble tiles or whatever. It's just grabbing for like what's wacky that I can think of to try and make this heightened, you
uh,
know. And so
I
I was just like,
disagree.
it didn't hit with me.
I think it's truly genius. I think it's
Uh,
Like I like so in politics there's like the horseshoe theory, like you go so much left that you kind of end up being right. You go so much right, you kind of accidentally become left. I think
uh,
that's true for intelligence too. I love when shows do this, or sometimes you're just so stupid that you end up being smart, or you're just so smart that you come across as stupid. And
uh,
I think that's what's happening.
I think that that
Usha's
would be
so
good.
bad at technology that they're good.
I just don't feel like that's what the execution is. It feels like whatever Usha's crazy idea is true, not because the world accidentally makes it true, but because it is true.
No, yeah, I don't think it's an. I
Like,
mean, I said stumbles into greatness, but I truly think like they're so bad at technology that no one would ever think to do these things, and that's what makes it work.
sure, but I don't want to go like too far into I don't want to go too far into this. One of these two things is the world keeps its sanctity, and the person is a chaos comedian that is going into the world, and like those two things clash.
Mhm.
And the other, which I think this is that whatever the chaos comedian says makes the world true. Like it's the truth of the world. And it's like, okay, that's not as funny to me as like, oh, the world keeps its consistency but can't handle this chaos comedian.
Hmm. I'll reluctantly accept what you're saying, but
What I
I
want to do
like it.
is
I like
watch more
Mixed.
episodes and see where it
Sure,
goes, because
sure.
like if ultimately we reach episode 10 and this is like there's some insane thing like Usha stays there because they're so good at it or whatever, like some big character choice or something that justifies the whole thing, I get to like retroactively accept all of this as necessary to a like I wasn't familiar with Reika's game, you know.
Have you watched Sherlock Holmes? Like anything?
Yes.
Movies? Okay. How do you feel about sometimes where Watson just kind of undercuts the whole mystery and just like solves it?
uh Solves it for real.
I guess he hasn't solved the big mystery, but sometimes there'll just be like a hurdle. So like there was a popular post like a year or 2 years ago. There's like a keypad and like Sherlock is like doing all this deduction of like what to do, and then Watson's just like, Sherlock, the light's green, it's open. You don't even have to like figure out what the code was. You can just open the
Yeah.
door, and like that kind of happens a lot in Sherlock, where Watson kind of undercuts all the
Oh
fun that
yeah.
could be had, you know. And I feel like maybe that's kind of what Reika does. It's like, or maybe Reika Sherlock. I don't know, but it's just like we could do all the
I think in that
things,
moment
or we could just
it's
have the thing. Does that make any sense?
yeah. I sort of see what you're saying. Like in that moment, we are seeing a world where like it is worth looking into everything. But then when a different character says, "Oh, it's not. It's actually simpler than that," like they are rewriting what the world's rules are. And I don't know how I feel about that necessarily. I think it's up to execution because typically it is like a real world that Sherlock is in, and sometimes
Actually,
things are that simple. And we're mostly talking about the character of Sherlock over analyzing, and we're saying something about him as a person.
are you
Uh,
interpreting that Reika is Sherlock? Because that's now how I mean my metaphor.
I think I was interpreting Reika as Watson
That's how I said it, but
breaking the
now I think it's
world.
the opposite. Now I think Reika is Sherlock overcomplicating everything, and that's what makes it interesting and fun for me because I do want to see Sherlock solve the mystery. But then you have Iffy, who's just like, okay, with my turn, I go faster, and it's like, okay, that was the
Oh, we're gonna
Watson.
get into it. This is gonna be an hour-long episode, dude, because we're about to get into it. You'll never believe where we're going with this.
I haven't.
Uh,
Wait. Oh, you said your three things. We haven't talked about my least favorite yet.
I know. We got to get
Okay.
through that because we got to get to mechanics. Mechanics is going to be a 40-minute long segment.
Okay, about how to make your cargo faster.
Yeah, about how to make your cargo faster.
Okay, cool.
Okay, I think that you didn't like the car foreskin joke. I think you thought it was icky.
Mm.
Uh,
That's twice
I
you
think
guessed.
you
Like
didn't.
I don't like icky things.
I just think you've done that a couple of times where you're
I
just like,
binge the
no,
boys
ew.
happily.
Yeah, sure, but I'm just saying, like, I think you like have a very specific thing. You like you won't let me make lasagna because it's a messy food, and so
That has
like
that
there
has to do
is
with
some
trust.
weird fucked up
There
part
could
of
be
your brain
anything in
that I
there.
don't
There
know
could be
about.
anything in there. That's not just. It's,
Well, yeah,
it's
there could be a
trust.
foreskin in the car. Yeah, we
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know. In my mind, this all makes sense,
If
dude.
there was foreskin in the car, my trust would be broken, but I wouldn't be disgusted.
Okay, good. I'll write that down. No, but I did have trouble finding specific three negatives for you here because
Sure,
I
sure.
think there was no real moments for me. It was all like
Hey,
just little things where there wasn't anything.
one of mine's a total stretch. So
You know?
you're on the right ballpark that there wasn't many least
Yeah,
favorites.
yeah. well, I thought the foreskin could be a stretch. Anyways,
That's how it came up.
I think, yeah, I think one of them was that you were happy that finally Alex was willing to say, "Yeah, can we just keep this conversation shorter, Doug?" And then like felt really bad about it and undid it by
Mm.
bringing him back to be like, "You say whatever you want." It was like, okay, that was like undid something you were happy about, um, despite the scene with bringing him into the car being cool.
Mhm.
Uh, and I think your third one was that it was a difficulty 100 to make the shirt thing work. Uh, and that was just like a straight up negation. You're almost certainly not going to make this.
Okay, your
I
D100
think
is
that doesn't
spot
drive with you.
on, but I put it in mechanics
Mm.
because I wanted to talk about
Okay,
Brennan
okay.
claiming he would say yes and to anything.
Uh huh.
So I moved that
Oh
down to
boy, let's
mechanics.
get through this quick because we gotta
know,
get to mechanics.
but
Mechanics is gonna be the bustling part of this fucking episode, dude.
You're totally right.
Put up your dukes, dude.
The D100 was a least favorite for a bit, and then I moved it because I wanted to talk about it as
Uh-huh.
okay. So what I put down as my least favorites was I lost my notes. Apologies. I'll cut these 30 seconds. Oh my god. Okay. I forgot who said it. I didn't write it down. Here, I'm ready. I didn't write down who said it. In my mind, it's Izzy. It might have been Reika. Someone says like, "Let's." Can I use Find My Friends to like solve something?
Uh-huh.
And at this point, Brennan is still willing to yes and anything, and is like, "I guess." And I don't know. I was just really scared that it was going to be in the universe, and I just felt like, oh, that ruins everything if Find My Friends becomes a thing. I
okay.
hated the suggestion. I hated the possibility. The most tense
So
I was the
Austin
whole
thinks
episode.
some consistency is necessary. Interesting.
I like consistency, but I also like being flexible with what's true. I feel like Find My Friends broke it.
Selective bias.
No,
got
no,
it.
no, not selective bias.
No,
Flexibility.
I'm just writing my own notes. I'm just writing my own notes. Don't worry about it.
Flexibility. Do you remember if it was Izzy or Reika? I'm pretty confident it was one
It
of
was
them.
Izzy.
Okay, it was Izzy. I kind of just match your energy of like Izzy's kind of being totes random because that kind of goes with the next one too. I hated that Izzy was like, and now I kiss him, and it's like, what are you doing? What's happening? This is not.
We both had Izzy being random.
Yeah, but I had two specific instances because it was just driving me crazy. And I was like, oh no.
I had those are two of my specific ones. Technically, I do remember many of them. So that's like that's why I put such a wide net over it.
Normally, I don't mind, but I'm glad. I remember Brendan just cutting. Brendan's like, okay, well, let's go see someone else, and we'll come back to this because like I think even Brendan realized that was like now we're getting too absurd. And that's really it. So my third one's a stretch. I just put too little Jake. Oh my gosh, Jake had like 4 minutes total screen time despite being one of the key racers.
That's so interesting because I've said this before, but like he's a big character in short form content. In this, I would have expected him to be bigger by now.
Yeah.
Like 3 episodes of like hanging back and being pretty chill, I get, but like he hasn't had a moment where he's like just so much of the focus like I think other characters have, especially like Paula and Usha have had like so many big moments. But it is like Jacob and Allie that I think have had maybe the least.
Yeah, I agree. Jake and Allie have had the least. But I mean, Jake felt prominent. Well, it's interesting you say that because Jake and Allie had like a whole subplot last episode that felt pretty fulfilling. But I don't know. Jake hasn't felt little to me until this episode because I was like, I could see Jake's gears grinding, thinking about how to win this race, and there was just so little. And then, like, surprisingly, Brendan, I felt like was working the most with Alex. Like, just kept trying to get Alex to do something, even though Alex kind of purposely chose sort of a background role in the race.
Yeah. Let's go straight into functions and talk about that. How do you feel about that? About taking a purposeful backseat, not even driving? Because I do think that's in line with Alex's character of Kingskin. Like, I almost was disappointed that they got into a car.
Yeah, I did feel like it felt like they failed, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, I'm gonna be a background character. Oh, I haven't found anything interesting to talk to or discover. All right, I'll just get in the car and then just do.
Despite having some of them like it seems like
inconsequential.
necessary character interactions of the episode.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's fine. I feel like how has Alex been in other campaigns?
Yes, Mentopolis.
Were they good in that?
I haven't watched the whole thing yet. I was too busy at the time it came out, but I'm looking forward to it now that I know Alex.
I want to be cautious with saying Alex is a bad role player. I don't necessarily think that, but
Really?
if I didn't know, if you were like one person at the table is new, I would never assume it was Jake, and I would always assume it was Alex because it just
Really?
feels
There's
that
been some
way.
talk recently. People, I mean, I just look at the Reddit a lot, and people were
Yeah.
asking like, what person would you want to add to the Intrepid Heroes, the like main six, if you could? And people were saying Alex. A lot of people were just because of their energy and what they bring, and kind of like an awkward, real kind of way. A lot of the time, you know.
I don't know their
Uh,
names. Uh, isn't that what the guy with black floppy hair does?
Lou,
No, no, not Lou.
Zach.
Yeah, Zach.
He's
Zach has Alex
yeah,
energy to me.
Yeah, I think I can see what you're saying. Uh, but I don't think it would be in practice that way. And Zach plays a lot of different characters for sure. He's more of like how do I say this? He's more removed, like what do you call it when somebody's like takes a step back and he's quiet and he waits to go in for the kill. And I think Alex is more conversational, you know, than
Maybe.
a lot of Zach's characters. But I can see what they added, and my first episode when we first talked about this, my glowing recommendation or glowing what accreditation, my glowing review was of Alex because I didn't know that they were so good, and I really liked Liv and I really liked Kingskin in the few seconds we got of them.
Yeah. I guess I haven't seen Alex be Alex. I only know Alex as Liv. So
Yeah,
maybe I
that's
have a
true.
bad understanding of who Alex is because to me, the lines are pretty blurry and all three people are the same. So I don't know.
I think you would think that there's not that big of a difference between Alex and Liv if you like watch the adventuring parties. But I think they're making choices that are really good in terms of role playing, but like the delivery might not be that different from what they usually do.
Yeah.
So I can see what you're saying.
Well, I want to preface again that I don't necessarily think Alex is bad. It just comes across as novice to me as I watch it, but
Yeah.
it's fine. I said earlier, Alex probably said the thing that made me laugh the most, which was when they were debating the tank and the oily shirt, and they were like, "I guess we'll never
Yeah,
know
yeah,
which one it was."
yeah, no, they're very quick-witted, and I'm excited to watch them on top of this. I do think that there are other examples in like other seasons. I hope you get to watch of people taking a back seat to an action scene, and I want to know what you think about that because I think you will, if you can put a mental pen in this, and when we get to a certain episode of Crown of Candy, take this pin out and go, oh, we were talking about that. There's a character who does something completely different for a whole episode where people are doing something specific and it's well utilized and done really nicely. And I think you'll be able to compare those.
Well, you already know my hot take with D&D and that I think action is secondary. So I'm usually pretty pro
Uh,
doing anything else. But
yeah. But like, I mean, it's it's also not an action
yeah, this is like a
scene.
race.
It's more like,
If I was playing, I'd want to be in the race. I give props, I guess, for resisting the race. It just felt like
yeah,
nothing really developed from it. So whatever.
there is such a thing as like, yeah, not doing stuff for it.
Yeah.
Do you have a specific mechanic you want to go over?
I was gonna go up the Brennan improv on the spot how blowing up with tokens worked, and I was just gonna say that I liked it.
Yes. Okay.
I like that
I
you don't skip
have,
steps, but you like if you were gonna copy this style and make it your own, I
yeah.
would keep that rule. I think that's a good rule.
I would say I'm a little surprised that they didn't fully like check into the rules of this first because it seems like only a couple hours worth of work to like see what the contingencies are of like what would happen
Mm-hmm.
and what like you can do with the rules within the rule set. And it I haven't, not really as a negative, but as a like, oh, it kind of feels like we're figuring out what the rules are as we go with the system, as opposed to other times when we have had, it seems like sheets worth of information of how it works. That way you can't, you're not confused when you come across a situation that wasn't previously, thought of.
Yeah.
So it surprised me. I don't think I'm
It
fully
surprised
against it.
me. I think I'm fully for it. I think it makes sense. I was just saying, for anyone who's
And for
listening
the
and is going
outcome,
to
I'm
copy
for it.
these rules, I would keep that rule in.
The rule itself is good. I think I'm talking about mostly like how on the spot it is.
Yeah.
A few of these times, you know.
Yeah.
That's not the first time that this happened. I am mentioning that because they have done like, oh yeah, if you're in the same scene, you can do this.
Yeah.
Or they've also in the adventuring parties gone like, oh, that rule's a little too restrictive. Let's take off one of the restrictions on it. And it's just like, oh, okay, geez, we're really play testing this right now.
I'm being a bad podcaster and I'm just nodding my head in agreement.
Okay. I'll go over one of mine. So that was, you already covered changing rules. I'm gonna say fake difficulty. I think some of this stuff is going into a problem, and whatever happens, and the outcome will remain the same. Therefore, make as many rolls as you like. Make
Dang.
whatever decisions you want to make, and it will be whatever. Like you can't.
All right, I'm gonna role play.
Die
I'm gonna
because-
role play as Jake Wysowski. You can't do that. You can't do that. I'm new here,
okay.
but you
Oh my
can't
God.
do that. You can't
Oh,
say
dude.
that Brennan's
Can I go
making
back and
fake
change one of
difficulties.
my favorite moments? Can I go back and change one of my
I
favorite
almost
moments?
thought that would be your
Jacob
favorite.
speaking up against that. Oh my God. Like, I swear to God, like in my heart of hearts, that is the most negative anybody's ever been at the table about somebody else's decision to their face.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that for sure. I haven't watched every single episode, and I don't.
Did you think there was real malice in it? That felt
is-
100% comedic to me.
No. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
That is the meanest it's ever been. But like sometimes in a very stupid way, like bullying is necessary. Stop. You don't need to keep. You didn't have to do the oral. Like it's too far. You have to stop. And it is comedic. It's funny to tell somebody no, but like the point to which you have to get for that to be an available option is like, oh geez, man, this person needs a lifesaver of a comedic response to their wacky suggestion.
Well, I'm copying and pasting it. There is no fake difficulties in roleplay. It's all real. So you can't do that.
Okay.
Moving on.
So
that's okay.
I think that there is a lot of times where weird, crazy shit happens in these episodes, in like Dimension 20 episodes at all, that is like, okay, we just let that happen, no matter if there was a role, no matter whatever. But a lot of times it still has a repercussion of some sort, and that can come in like a character relationship or like losing some type of item, like losing something. And this is such a like balls to the wall insane world that no amount of hurt is going to actually hurt, that I think it makes it a little less of a punishment to try things and just do whatever and then fail,
Sure.
And so that's what I'm feeling when I'm saying this, is that like the difficulties are, he's giving them rerolls, he's giving them tokens here and there from people that are just random Jaquan Ex Machina.
I didn't write this down because I don't watch the adventuring parties. I kind of just assumed that this happened in the adventuring party. But they have 4 lives now. Is that something they did in the adventuring party?
Okay. I do believe so. Because in the adventuring parties now, they're doing actual functional things, and I haven't finished the 3rd one, but I'm almost positive that's what that is.
Or I should say 4 injury levels. But I was just going to tack that on because I do agree with 4 injury levels now. It does feel like things are less at stake.
Yeah, and if like the precedent is that you can keep expanding those injury levels, like I don't know what the rules are.
Yeah.
Like I don't have the system. Can they just get up to 10 injury levels? Because then every episode they should be getting as many tokens as possible to buy more injury levels for the next episode. It just doesn't like it feels like we're waiting.
I don't think I have no incentive to watch the adventuring party because it does feel like they're just gaming it too much. I felt like it was balanced to do 2 tokens to help a comrade. Now that it's been fully broken down to 1 and they can like switch roles, it just feels like Yeah, I've changed my opinion. I said you couldn't say this, but now I fully agree. I think the difficulty
Yeah, I agree.
is an
We are
illusion. Yeah,
mainly sitting at the table and doing like an extended improv bit, and the
yeah,
dice have taken a back seat and are
yeah.
more of a vehicle for like how do we feel like this flavors, you know?
I agree. You've taken the
Which is
G out of
fine. I'm
RPG.
fine. I'm down for 10 episodes of this for sure, and it's super funny. What'd you say?
You paused to reflect, but then and then kept going. I liked that. I said
You
they're
cut out, so
taking
I didn't
the.
hear your fucking joke.
I said they're taking the G out of RPG.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what we did the
Yeah.
first
Okay.
time. Why
Yeah.
did we play that
Now
back?
I am pausing to reflect. Now I am reflecting. Yeah, that is true. Okay. Thanks.
All right,
Good.
thanks. Yeah.
Just gonna write that down. Cut 41 minutes in.
Can I go to my thing now?
So I do think. Yeah. Fuck you.
It's just more of the same, but I just want to connect it. The stupid D100 is fake difficulty too. Okay, here's my big problem with it. Okay, it should have been my least favorite moment, but I was like, it's kind of a mechanic or whatever. Okay, three problems. Okay, first problem: Brennan says that it was impossible and it was never going to happen. False. I feel like what should have happened, and this is what I assumed Reiko was even saying in the beginning, but that the shirt was going to be fired as a projectile from the car. Like, Brennan said that Reiko rolls down the window, sticks their hand out, and then it breaks or whatever. But I don't think Reiko would have done that if Brennan let Reiko tell like what was going to happen. I think the shirt would have been like balled up, put into like one of the like as ammo in a gun, and then would have fired in
like a
front of the
pneumatic
car.
tube.
Yeah, like like a missile, and then it would have gone in front. So like I was flabbergasted that Brennan even thought that that was like what Reiko was saying, and like I was like, of course that wouldn't work. No one was thinking that. So faux pas that it was said it couldn't even work. This should have been a D20 roll because of the feasibility from my mind. Two, Izzy asked right afterwards, what would have happened if they rolled a D95 or whatever, instead of asking what would have happened if they had succeeded, like. And then Brennan just like casually is like, oh, the wrist wouldn't have broke if it was like not more than a 5 roll. But like, why does your curiosity not make you ask what would have happened if they succeeded? Because I want to know. I wanted there to be a discussion to reveal what I just said. That like obviously that's what was going to happen.
That might be in the adventuring party.
You refuse.
That you refuse to watch.
And then. Well, I kind of combined my third point with my first point. I just feel like this shouldn't have been a D100. This should have been a D20. And I'm upset. It doesn't feel like Brennan truly said yes and to this, even though he said he would.
We're getting into this. I did put so like I did put as one of your favorite moments that he said, "Oh yes and anything."
Yeah.
And so we are, but I do think it is a function. He is not yes anding anything here. I think this might be the long one. I think that is something that is so necessary to the game itself that we made these little things called dice, I guess they would be dies, multiple dies, that we can blame for having to say no to things. Like, he is playing a part where he has to break the bad news to somebody that is too crazy for episode 4, that like we will soon like go way past space president in episode 5, and like we won't hit the mark that we're trying to hit on episode 10. Well, and Brennan frequently has to do that.
You're reminding me that Brennan even breaks this down to Izzy. Izzy like fires a gun and it pings off the wall, Brennan says, and then Izzy's like, and then it bounces into his skull, and then Brennan's like, we already rolled the die to determine what happened, like you missed. So like everything you're saying, like Brennan broke down to Izzy. So
yeah. And so I do think there's some sense of consistency there, but it is like, I do think he mostly only punishes when it's unnecessary, because to me, what Brennan's approach is usually is that he has a way out for anybody, and he if he doesn't, he can come up with one on the spot for how anything is cool, anything is good, and anything is fun. So when people try to make it too like out of the realm of possibility and like completely insane, he will punish because it's his opportunity to make it funny for him, and he is ultimately a player at the table who gets to like who is the one who gets to say what the world is. And a lot of this is like we are going 5,000 miles an hour down a fucking runway in California or whatever, but uh it is a world in which like violence occurs and like people hurt themselves and stuff. So you do get your wrist broken when you stick your hand out the window at 4,000 miles an hour. I do think that that's something that Reika didn't consider is the wind at 4,000 miles an hour.
I don't think
Because they
Rika
just
was
seem so
ever gonna
surprised.
stick their hand out.
They seem so surprised.
They seem
And
surprised
the way
that was the notion.
but the way that she tries to defend it too is like everybody at the table thinks that too. Like somebody at the table straight up says like you try to throw a t-shirt out of your car while it's stopped. I think Ali says that like try to throw a t-shirt in front of the car out of the sunroof when you're standing still. It doesn't like if there's a wind resistance and it's like
I
there's a very
my
you
skepticism is
have
just
to
so
be
high. I just don't think Reika was gonna do that. I think Reika became a good team player and like accepted that that is funny and like wasn't gonna correct themselves.
uh
But I just don't think that
well
at
let's
all was the premise.
compare that let's compare that to the moon is the night sun
Mm-hmm.
and just
But
like
that's not
that
what Reika
whole
meant
general
either.
approach.
Reika didn't realize it was night because at the beginning they were like, because Ali corrects Reika and it's like it's night, and then Reika just keeps going with it. But that was never the intent either.
I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Let's say that nobody understands what Rick is saying at any given point in time.
I do.
That is.
Do.
Okay, let's say that's right. It is at some point Rick's responsibility to fully explain or to some degree explain what they are trying to do
This is
in
the
a way that
life.
makes enough sense.
This is life I live. No one understands what
Yes.
I'm trying to say, and it makes perfect sense to me.
I know. Yeah,
I'm about to change my
if only
pyramid
everybody
ranking.
was in your
I'm
head.
about to change them. Rick. That's it.
Jesus. I do think that there's fun in being told no at the table.
Sure, yeah.
Like for one, this is maybe too far down the line, but like that whole sequence being storyboarded is part of how amazing this ending is. You know, like some things
Yeah.
have to go wrong for the one thing to go right, being amazing. And Rick has done so much good in this episode that it's like, okay, take an L, you know?
Yeah. Heard.
So I'm okay with that.
I have
I
a
will.
fake mechanic as my last mechanic, so if you want to keep going.
Yeah, okay, I've got a couple. I think that there's a lot of dice difficulty that they frequently like don't know what they're rolling or what they have to get or what it means when they get something or how many turbo tokens they need to use or like just not a big thing but I still struggle with this but Jacob not knowing that the zeros on the d10 are the 10 like it's like okay let's take a sec and like figure this out so we know for the episode, you know, not a big deal, but there's a lot of it, you know.
Sure. There was another dice mistake. I almost wrote it down, but then I was like, I've said it every episode, so it's fine. But it has something to do with Alex.
Yeah.
Alex rolled like a D6 and then became a D10 or whatever. But any other mechanics?
Okay. Yeah, I've got the storyboards themselves, absolutely amazing. The ending is like it makes me want to beg and plead various organizations and companies to make animated versions of these seasons because it's just like, God, these could be storyboarded into actual things that are really like fun to watch visually instead of just imagining in my stupid head.
Mm-hmm.
I also really like how the music plays into a lot of this. There's just so much going on with that. And in past seasons, there have been great music too. I can never really find the list of where they get all their music from. And I need to know specific songs because they're fucking great and like have amazing vibes. That's another one. My last one is Iffy Rules Lawyering. That one moment with Izzy is a huge positive. I like I've absolutely commend Izzy or sorry Iffy for doing that because it's just like we have to keep ourselves grounded. If there is nobody to do that, we put it all on Brennan, and that's rude. It's rude to not help the DM keep the like standards at the table good, you know.
Yeah. I think the Jaquan Ex Machina is hilarious, and I kind of want to use that casually. Between breaking the fourth wall, I saw the pun Jonathanos, like Jonathan plus Thanos, and it was just so good that I started using it casually in my day to day. And now Jaquan Ex Machina is probably going to be something I use.
Ex Machina.
It's
That's
going to be
good.
something
That's a
I
good day to
use
day.
casually. Yeah.
It's so layered, you'll sound insane.
It's just fun to say. Izzy Isms is pretty good too. I might use that later.
Isms, yeah.
I didn't have this written down, but I had it as an honorary mention, and based on what you just said about Iffy, I'm going to plug it into mechanics. Iffy like brings in the lore from Fast and Furious, which I talked about as one of my predictions on the episode 3 of like they're going to bring in like accurate Fast and Furious stuff. But when Iffy explains that like Fast and Furious cars have the CB radios, and so it makes perfect sense for Iffy to have heard everything that Izzy said on the radio to the captain. I was like, oh, that's so good. I love your brain in this moment. That was so good.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Is that your last one?
No, I have my real last one still.
Okay, I'm out.
Oh, okay. We don't have to dive into this because we've already kind of derailed so much, but Reika's, it started off with, is it funny though? Is it funny though? As like the justification for like what should happen at the table, which is my justification for what should happen at the table. And then it became more game accurate of like, is this Los Familia or is this Los Amigos? And like, that's fine too. But it started with like, is it funny though? And I think we should always do what's funny. So once again, me and Reika are completely aligned.
I'm gonna write this time down on the thing. Can we just take 5 minutes and go with the fact that that is the comedy bias I was saying? You are okay if it's funny, despite if that was the goal or not.
It's funny. We're trying to have fun. Now, okay, them as a company, they have to go a little bit more than fun. Sure. Is Reika correct for Dimension 20 Dropout TV? No. Is Reika right if this was a group of friends and at home with no cameras? Yes.
Okay, but like, you know, when you're watching a movie and the character that you're really rooting for loses, and it's very, very sad, but then they win later, and that is made better by the fact that they lost.
Sure. But here's my counter to you, Jaren. If everyone wants to take the session super seriously, then it's not funny, and therefore it was the wrong thing to do.
No, I think is that not a straw man?
Yes.
I'm not saying don't be funny. I'm saying good. I'm glad we agree. I'm not saying don't be funny. I'm saying, is it funny though? It being the only justification for which, like, if something is good to happen is not the only framework. Is it funny enough? I almost say yes to, because it's like, if it's funny enough, like, definitely say yes to it. But that, like, funny enough almost predicates itself on, did it make sense in a way that is like building on the beats of what was happening before? Does it make sense in the world? Are people enjoying this? Is this the goal? Like, that does encapsulate what I'm saying more than is it just funny, like, at all. Because ultimately you can be reaching for something that's like the ultimate joke that gets undercut by something that was funny and like very small funny, you know, like, oh, this fart joke was funny, but we could have done something that was like way more layered with a lot of holding back, you know.
So I agree, but in a way that I disagree, because my meta social commentary is that funny is always the correct compass. You don't need a moral compass. You need a funny compass. Whatever situation you're in, it can be politics to dating. I don't know, or a better spectrum than that. But should always be like, am I doing something that someone would find funny? And then like more people the better. The more people that would find it funny, the more correct it is to go down that path. And if
that's very interesting.
If the people at the session don't find it funny because they want to take it seriously, then you're doing the wrong thing. Forcing a joke where a joke is not welcome is not funny. And so therefore it's wrong. So, breaking fourth wall again, if we end up keeping this in. With our campaign, everyone's sort of in agreement that we would like to take it somewhat seriously. So, like, throwing in jokes randomly is not the correct path.
Okay. Yeah. And in this, it is almost that. It is like, is it funny though? Should be the framework, because that's what everybody at the table is looking for. I can jive with that pretty well. I do think it is mostly like, with the one that we're doing, I want you, like, I don't need it. I desire for you as my friend to understand that you're looking at one side of a coin and you love that fucking side of the coin. You fucking love it. This is your favorite coin because you look at that side of the coin. But if you ever turn the side of the coin, like, you hate it.
It's weird. It's like that other side of the coin. Is it like an eagle? Is that what it's supposed to be? I can't fucking tell.
The same coin though is like, was that meaningful? And like, it can be sad. It can be like
George Washington,
crazy.
The best
it can be
president. Or
a plot reveal. It can be whatever. Yeah. So like reaching for those things, it's not necessarily this campaign or whatever, but when we watch other ones in the future, like, that is the moments that I'm going to write down as like, that was an amazing moment. And I feel like you're going to latch onto the comedy aspects of the episodes instead of like, oh, what we built together, including the jokes, was great because we built it together, not because it's funny,
Mm-hmm. So I'm doing the editing. Yeah, I'm doing the editing. I won the argument, so it's going to stay in. So you're ready to do predictions?
Oh my God. Yeah, he didn't win.
I already left it in, Jared. It's too late.
I'm ready to do predictions. I really only have one.
Oh, that's what you had last time.
I'm getting. The thing is that okay, all right, I'll write two more down that I have.
Okay, good.
You go with yours first.
Okay. I think I said this before, but I'm doubling down. I didn't say it last episode, so I feel like it's fine to say it again every other episode. But I'm just so sure that Usha and Stocks, Reka and Jake's character are going to stay behind. Especially with Jake winning the race. I feel like similar to like Barsimian, the world's going to kind of rally around this. He's going to feel like something he's ever felt like before. I feel like there's a good tearjerker moment of the uncle and nephew saying goodbye to each other as Stocks decides to stay behind. I just feel so good about that. Similarly, Usha is just killing it as G13. Technology finally makes sense in this world. They weren't doing anything super useful in the other world. The only reason I could see why Usha for sure goes back is to keep in touch with family. But like if Usha somehow learns that family means more than blood and that they have a family in this world too, which maybe with the help of Iffy, that arc could be completed. I just think it's really likely, and I feel really good that Usha and Stocks both stay behind in this world.
Interesting. Okay. I'll go with my first one. I think since they've already got access to Barsimian, I think the twist is going to be that he's not as evil as he's set up to be. Like, this isn't like an evil villain track. This is more like he's playing a game and like they're playing it with him kind of track. And maybe there's even like something to Never Stop Blowing Up that he hasn't done yet to finish it. And they have to finish it together.
I have bad news for you.
Why?
You don't watch the clips after the show's over, do you?
I don't watch that now.
Already confirmed.
Already confirmed? Really? Oh,
Yeah.
I was right then. Fuck, that's amazing.
You're
point.
right. You're
Do I get a point on the board? Oh, you have to edit in a new diagram for me being right on the board.
I'm not going to do that, but we'll keep mental notes.
Yeah, you can put one up there for you also because you were right from last episode. And then take it off because it cancels out. So you know what? You don't have to do this time because you canceled out.
We'll just keep mental notes. I'm not good at editing. Our 3 viewers who have kept track of this series can vouch that I'm not good at editing.
My girlfriend's mom.
Yeah. Okay, prediction number 2. I think the robots and the orphans will come back and they'll be adversaries in the next episode.
That's good. That's really good. I love that they just keep throwing in. They all know the tropes, and so it's a lot of fun when they
Yeah.
play into it. Um, Mine is just that Liv and Wendell are going to end up together. I do think that that is where we're going with this. I think Alex is open to it and playing Liv. I don't know if they did this episode or the episode before, but just like some of the stuff they're doing. I think it was this episode where they say something like, "Oh, Liv looks at, or Kingskin looks at, uh, uh, whatever Vin Diesel. What's his name?
Vic
Um,
Ethanol.
yeah, Vic Ethanol, and like does a look of admiration, you know."
Hmm.
And so I think we're playing a romance arc there.
Awesome. I can't say the element. I don't know. I can't say that. That's too many syllables. But the juice, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, adrenoxylinosulfate
Yeah,
or whatever.
sure. I think it's also lunar powered. You can only take it at night. You can only drink it at night.
Okay, that's interesting. I think that's wrong.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a complete myth.
Nice.
My third one, I'm phoning it in because I couldn't think of a third one. I think Izzy's gonna be so tired the next time we do an episode. I think episode 5, Izzy's gonna be
Ooh,
tired because episode 4
fun.
was so intense for Izzy.
That's funny.
I think
you know what? Okay,
she's gonna
there's
play
10
it all
episodes. I
chill.
think Izzy's good until episode 7, and I'm gonna make that my
You think Izzy's good until
golden
episode 7?
fortune ball, crystal ball.
No, what the fuck?
That's
got it.
That's my look.
You just said you wouldn't do more editing. You just said. You just said you specifically said you weren't going to add more things to this.
Okay, fine. But mentally, I'm gonna predict episode 7.
Third viewer, write that down.
Dude, this I have to say it now because I'll forget. I saw like it must have been 12 minutes, a TikTok that was like basically a YouTube video, breaking down how chat is like a fourth person word. It breaks the boundaries of first, second, and third. Oh, so good.
I think it's good. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like speaking to the ethereal god.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
on pyramid.
Pyramid.
Okay. You go first.
All right, my top of the pyramid is Reika. I think Reika's killing it. I like the way their mind works. I think they're offering the most amount of comedy, and I like what they do with their character. I said earlier the horseshoe thing, which I was already had in my notes, that I feel like they're so bad at technology, they're good. I just really like that dynamic. This feels like a character I haven't seen before. I'm pogging. I need more Reika. I don't know what. I know Reika does Smarty Pants. I started watching that more consistently. Love that. I know Reika's in the Mice D&D. I need to watch that. But new fan crush, new celebrity crush, new when people, I remember being like 16 years old and someone asked me like, who's your idol? Who do you like look up to? And I didn't know. And then I was like 18 years old and I thought back to being 16 years old and I was like, I would have said Bernie Sanders if Bernie Sanders was like prominent when I was 16 years old.
Wow.
And now I'm 25 and I'm looking back wishing I was 16 and I wish I knew Reika existed and I would have said Reika was my idol.
Wow. Bernie Sanders and Reika at the top of your pyramid is insane. What a duo. Wow.
Yeah.
I do think Reika's great. Rika's so funny and quick-witted, but did not make my very top. My top this episode, and I'm glad I'm kind of spreading it out a lot, except for one person. But I do think that people have peaks and valleys in certain episodes. I'm gonna put Iffy at the top this episode.
Yeah, I already had that for you. Predicted.
I just think that if he was playing the game correctly, in a way that is necessary for somebody at least to do at the table, somebody needs to be playing it straight and like be playing to their element of the genre. Like, what do we do in this? Like, oh, it's Nos, but it's spelled Nas or whatever. And like, there was a quick jump between Wendell like not knowing what to do and like taking on this persona of being a racer. But whatever, we're rolling with it now. It's episode 4. I'm going with it. There was some disjointedness in the past, but that's for other episodes' negative moments. This though was a Wendell that is like, we're going full all out. We're trying to do things, and even if we fail, like we're still the character. And I want to see more of like what Wendell thinks of that as a character. But the execution of it was amazing, and the rules lawyering, I appreciate that so much because somebody should be helping the DM at any given point to keep things at least a little bit stable, so they don't have to always say yes. And then just a lot of the choices that were being made were like, yeah, I'm going to be the one who's trying to do this normal so that other people can be more impressive instead of everybody doing their own wacky thing.
Good segue. Iffy is my number 2. A lot of the same reasons that you just said. Completely agree. I think they're a good assist, a perfect partner for the DM. I think they're playing in a unique way that I like. I also agree that the grievances with the reflection is a prior episode thing. I won't hold that against Iffy for this episode. Only reason they're not number 1, I'm just not a big fan of every time we cut to Iffy, the first thing Iffy kept saying was, I think I'm going to drive faster. That's like the action that they take. I was like, I know what we're doing, but like, I don't know. I like what
I
Rick is
feel
doing
for
a little
Iffy
bit
on
more.
that somewhat though, because I did a little bit of a racing like one-off campaign with some friends, and it was kind of just like, oh, make a drive check, oh, make a drive check, and like if he's not really being helped by everybody else as much as like the people in the tank are and stuff
Yeah,
for a lot of the time, so it is like, oh, we have to see where this goes in just a standard direction.
sure. The other person on my second level is Allie. Allie's been at the bottom, I think, for me, the first 3 episodes, but I'm starting to learn and to appreciate what Allie brings to the table. And I like what they're doing. They were just a
That's
passenger for Jake's car for most of it, but I still thought what they did was pretty good, pretty fun, pretty interesting.
That's so interesting. What Allie brings to the table, quote unquote, is like so different this season than any other seasons. Like Allie has been in, I think, maybe the most mentioned 20 seasons beside Brennan. Maybe that's not true. Maybe that's they're like second or third in terms of that. But Allie's like contribution to the table has changed over time so dramatically that this is not representative of any given season that Allie's in. And it's just funny that you would say that. Because Allie was the newbie, the very first season of Dimension 20, and to see them so relaxed and like comfortable with things is the wild part. On my second tier is Jacob. I think everything Jacob added to this episode was brilliant. I think his character is amazing. I think his final scene was like maybe the best in the whole series so far, just because of the like, I don't know, just aesthetics of it. Going to space, like flying a nuke out of the range of your friends, going 5,000 miles an hour and winning the race. It's like, wow. There's improv stuff built on that I strive to try to do, and to be first time around the dome hitting those beats is amazing. Also on my second level is Izzy. Izzy was having a lot of fun and just like was constantly keeping the energy up a lot of the time, especially towards the last hour of the episode, that it made it a lot of fun to watch, especially with everything that was crazy that was going on. And their like her reactions to just like, oh yeah, it's a tank, right? Or whatever. It's fun. But she does lose the top just from going too far and being completely random and trying to do way too many things at once. But ultimately, a great energy.
Sorry, did you say Izzy or Reika?
Izzy.
Okay. I just felt like everything you were saying aligned with Reika, so I was like,
Well, one of them made sense and one of them really didn't. Oh, my bad. That's
okay.
the difference between those two.
Oh, okay. Okay, so my first on the bottom 3 is Brennan. Brennan escapes the pits of hell again. Never a double elimination for this guy. Brennan didn't have a true side character this time. They were juggling everybody, but I just felt like, they're just killing it. I can't justifiably put them in the bottom, even if it's to be nice to other players. So they escape the pits of hell for me.
Cute. I think we do the whole tier.
Okay. Next is Alex. Alex, well, didn't quite do what I would have done had I not been in the race. I did enjoy Kingskin more this episode than episodes prior. I think that is kind of in large part to Brennan trying to keep working with Alex, if for nothing else, just to get away from the race. But I thought Alex had good interactions. I liked the imagery of Kingskin just like in deep reflection, trying to soak it all in, just really trying to understand the world around them. So it was wholesome. I liked it. And then finally, at the end of it is Izzy for everything you said, but in reverse. I thought the Izzy isms were just a little too distracting for me. If I'm truly evaluating them as a player, not just as a person, there is no ranking; they're all equals. But as a player, uh, you know, I don't know. We're
There is a
too
point at which it's too much.
we're too loopy. I love you. I love you as a person.
Yeah,
But as a player, we're too loopy, and so you
yeah.
have finally
Reaching
reached
for the heights of where this can
yeah.
go, it could have been without that.
Yeah, so you finally reached the end of the bottom tier.
My bottom tier is Reika. I do think that was the same thing for me with Izzy. We're just like, oh man,
You're crazy.
we're going way too far with this.
You're crazy.
I think it's because you understand something about Reika's intentions that is very personal to you and what you would do in those situations. And I relate to everybody else at the table, including Brennan, who has to go, what the fuck? What are they talking about? And it's just like insane. But for the most part, it's still funny and adds a lot. And I do love the tech angle. I think it's so necessary. And I really wonder what the conversations are like for how they pick these characters. Because do you go straight for the tech character, or do you end up with the tech character and do a lot with it?
Mhm.
That's what I was wondering. Allie's at my bottom just because Allie keeps taking a backseat. I want more of Allie, honestly. I think there's stuff to be said for their character, for Russell. And like there's like an arc that they've mentioned that they want to have in the adventuring parties. And like everybody has this little thing that they're going for, and I want to see more Russell. Like I need to know more about what's going on here. There's a lot of really cool action stuff, but for the most part, everybody's matching pace with them. And then Alex is at my bottom just for making some, choices here and there that are okay and fine, but didn't seem that intentioned or developed to the point where we were doing a lot with them, which is not a bad thing. Just didn't add too much.
Mhm.
I do typically love Alex, but I like that I'm ending up with these. Some people are at the top some episodes, some people are taking a backseat other episodes, and it feels very fair here, and everybody's contributing at the table.
So that would mean Brendan is in your pits of hell yet again.
Brennan is at my pits of hell. Oh my god, dude! Like, why does he get his own chair?
I don't know.
You know,
Brendan
and a
Brendan's on
D100.
tier
It's too
3
many
for
sides.
me. I don't know. I don't know what you're thinking. Did you figure out who's in my pits of hell?
He's got a. Yeah, it's Jacob. And I imagine it's just because you didn't get enough.
No, he has taken hell and risen the flames. He's not below the pyramid. The pyramid's a 3D structure. He is around the pyramid. He is the pyramid. Jacob is beyond the pyramid. Reika may be number 1, but I said all those nice things about Reika, that Reika would be my idol, but there was one thing I didn't say to Reika, partially because I didn't want to be inappropriate, but partially because it all belongs to Jake, and I wouldn't fuck Reika, but I would fuck Jake. Jake is everything to me.
Oh my god!
He's the perfect improv. He's the perfect player. He's the perfect thinker. He's the perfect person.
It's just
Jake,
it makes me
Jake
so
is
confused.
Jake is beyond the pyramid, Jared. He can't be placed because first place implies that it's a competition. No, there is no competition. From this episode forward, Jake is beyond the pyramid. Your little bit with Brennan being outside the pyramid, yeah, that's Jake. Jake's outside the pyramid now.
You just wait. You haven't seen how low I can put Brennan. You haven't seen the depths I can dig and put Brennan in the ground. Storyteller, you think you're an improviser? What are you, some kind of comedian? No, you're a groveling little dog. It's just confusing to me so much because I love everything Jacob's doing, but it feels like exactly what I'm describing to you about the opposite of what Reika's doing. Like
There,
all of Jacob's moves are so perfectly within the genre, and like they're even like they're not just what is funny, they are what is meaningful. Like taking the Rashad thing so seriously and being like, sorry, they didn't believe. It's not funny. That is like kind of just good character work.
Mhm.
And like building up this tension and like going further with a failure on like, oh, this is a nuclear plane or whatever. Like doing all these things is so good, as opposed to what I very much feel is a pull back away from that with Reika, where it's like, oh my god, the plane's nuclear. Oh great, now I got to do something else. And it's like, no, no, no. Brennan is working with you to create something crazy if you just like trust that Brennan's like world that he's creating will accept whatever is the most logical answer, not the like most creative thing you can come up with, you know?
may I blow your mind now?
Sure.
Okay, so earlier I told you that the correct compass is not a moral compass, it's a comedy compass. It's a funny compass. As long as you're heading
Mm-hmm.
toward the funny direction, I think you're doing everything right. That's what Reika does. Reika has the funny compass and heads toward the funny every time. I feel like everything Reika does is correct. But
But there's a North Pole.
no. I'm not going spherical with this. If you had a funny compass in your hand, what's the funniest thing to do?
I don't know. Go south.
Yeah, go south, go the opposite direction, and that's what Jacob does. Jake is, it's 3D chess. I did go geometry. Fuck you. And Jacob makes going. You know what? Yeah, you're right. It's a sphere. It's a sphere. He went so south that it became north. He went south pole, and he met you there.
Oh my god. Okay, I still think I'm right because that is that's a chosen longer path of like, we're gonna wait to do the cool things because we're gonna make difficulty for ourselves. That is like, it's honorable. It's like
honorable.
Storyteller.
Yeah,
you know, it's good. It's not
going
just like,
north
how can
and
I
going south will
fucking
get you
blow
the
my
same
comedy
place.
load off right now.
Yeah, going north and going south will get you the same place. And Reika does it correct,
Sort
and
of,
Jacob
sort
does
of.
it impressively.
I mean,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
you have to go south. You have to go exactly south and then put the compass away, because once you pass south, if you go south again, you'll just keep going south. So before you hit south, you have to put the compass away and keep going in the direction you're going.
You could walk backwards.
Yeah, that's true. But then you'd be going north. I don't know what you want me to say about that.
But you're facing south.
Okay, what do you want? Face south and walk northwards into hell?
Is that not exactly what I'm saying he's doing? He's going the direction of funny.
Fuck you're saying anymore?
Without facing it.
My bad, dude. My bad
Yeah.
that your metaphor is a little fucked up.
No, it's perfect.
You took geometry, but not physics, idiot.
I was telling you this at dinner. I like the bottom 5, but I love the top 2. I need more Reika, and I need more.
I need more Jacob Wysocki.
Fuck, what's his name?
Wysocki, yes. Jacob Wysocki.
His name's not Mike Wazowski?
Oh, no, bitch. Okay, listen, I'm about to tell you something important.
Okay.
Can we do like a new segment at the end of this where it's just like what's coming up in Dropout?
Mhm.
Because this is sort of related. I was thinking about this before, and now it's related.
Okay, wait.
The new Make Some Noise.
Okay, go ahead.
The new Make Some Noise on Monday, I think, is it's Lou, Brennan, and Jacob Wysocki.
Yay! That's good.
So we gotta watch that one.
Yeah,
I think that's tomorrow. If you want to watch it tomorrow.
Yeah, sure. I don't know if we should review it, but yeah, fun.
No, that's what I'm saying. This will just be the
okay.
3-minute what's coming up next and drop out for this week. If we end up keep doing this, then we can just talk about the little things like that.
I don't know if there's any place for this. Jacob like released a song on Twitter. I haven't like listened to it yet, but I kind of wanted to.
Oh yeah. I haven't heard it. I'll have to see.
Yeah.
But he's a good creator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I hope I see a lot more from him, and I gotta look into him actually. But yeah, overall, I think this might be my least favorite episode of Never Stop Blowing Up, but had some of my favorite moments, if that makes any sense.
You know what I just realized? Jake
Yeah.
went on Reika's show, Smarty Pants, but that was actually my least favorite PowerPoint I've seen so far of the which
Yeah, no,
fantasy
I
creature.
didn't jive with that.
Yeah, that's so weird.
Yeah, could you toke with or whatever?
Too much good, I
Yeah.
guess, makes a bad thing.
Well, yeah, too much scripted makes a bad thing.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening to our review of Never Stop Blowing Up, episode 4. Sorry this one's out a little bit late for our 3 viewers who were, on the edge of their seat this weekend waiting for it to be released. Our traveling has come to a cease. So hopefully we'll be on top of it next week.
Yeah. I definitely want to get these out more often just because I was so sad I couldn't watch it right away with everything that was going on.
Yeah.
But I think we did a good job. I think, we got into our never-ending debate about the nature of Dungeons and Dragons, which will never ever come to a close, but will continuously get, evidenced in various episodes. But yeah, it was fun talking.
Fun smack talking. See you next time.
Yeah. See you next time.
That's a good outro.
All right. I actually do think if we want